Shit. Sorry. Oh my god. I started. It's different actually having a script a lot. I've never had a script before. I've always gone off the cuff, so I just roll with it.
Math Profile, Scene 1, Take 1. And action.
Rogue Theory here, featuring Mathmech Deck Profile, the only deck you have to turn Safe Search on when you look up Mystic Fighters, because generates don't pop up, and because otherwise you'll just get roll 34 porn of Dragon Mates. This is the deck I ran at PPG Las Vegas.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to round 7 of Pro Play Tour Las Vegas. I'm Alex Emo, joined by Mr. Joseph Rothschild. And Joseph, why are you grinning so much over there?
I'm actually hurting my face with how hard I am smiling. We found a singular individual who has been pestering us all day for a feature match. They are still X2 in round, what is this, 7?
This is 7.
Oh my goodness. They are X2 in round 7 playing Mathmech.
Unbelievable.
Where I won X3-1. I did have the possibility to top, but because of the draw, it wasn't a possibility. Me and my opponent ended up dice rolling, and I suck at dice rolls, as you can probably guess, because I'm playing a going second deck. But anyways, let's get into the pros and the cons. The pros. Most Yu-Gi-Oh! Players can't do math, and neither can they read. So they just assume whatever you do is correct. All joking aside, the deck is extremely consistent. And this is probably the most consistent build you'll see as of yet. The deck can play through around both Disruption and Hand Traps, as every combo is 2 to 3 cards, and you have so many extenders in your hand, just through the way that I built this deck alone. So you don't have to, and you also don't rely on your normal summon, which is even better, so you can play around Nibiru. The cons. The deck needs its extra monster zone. It needs to summon Mathmech Final Sigma to the extra monster zone to get its unaffected condition and to do double battle damage. Also, its cards like Multiplication and Nabla only give effects to cards which are in the extra monster zone. That's a big problem, because you can't get your double attack and you can't get 2 attacks against monsters to do your OTK otherwise. With the Master Rule 5 coming inbound, this deck becomes much more consistent. Instant Fusion no longer has a rivalry conflict with your Final Sigma, or not with your Final Sigma, with your regular Sigma in the main deck, your level 4 tuner. So that would be the main change. And finally, the other problem with this deck is expensive. Alimbertion is 30 bucks right now. Microcoders are 13 apiece, but they might go up at any moment. Cynic mining is expensive. Even though a reprint's coming, it's still expensive. You still need to get it before if you want to play this deck and get your top early. And probably one of the biggest problems with this deck is opening 2 copies of any Mathmech card is not a combo necessarily. You can still combo, but it's not ideal, because all their effects are once per turn, and hard once per turn at that. With that said, let's get into the list. You run 3 Balancer Lord. Balancer Lord is amazing. The fact is that he ends up eating a negate through an impermanence or through an effect veiler. He can even eat a Ghost Ogre and you wouldn't care. The fact is that this card is a bait. It baits out negates because you don't need your additional normal summon, but it's nice to have. And sometimes you do, but your opponent doesn't know that. So, because your hand size is still going to be 5 cards because you're always going second, they have no idea whether or not they need to hit this, and it's a mandatory hit that they have to take. But it gives you an additional normal summon, and when he's banished, you get to special summon a Cybris monster. Next up, we have the special summons of the deck, 3 addition and 3 subtraction. Addition and subtraction have the same effect, but opposite versions of each other. Obviously, you'll be able to infer. They target a monster on the field, and then that monster either loses 1,000 attack or gains 1,000 attack. Addition gains, subtraction loses it from it. And then they summon themselves to the field. That's all. Next up, for the last special summon of the deck, which is Mathmech Sigma. This is your level 4 tuner. Mathmech Sigma, what his effect is that if you control nothing in the extra monster zones, what he will do is special summon himself from the hand or the graveyard. When he's special summoned by this effect, however, once he leaves the field, he is banished. There is an XYZ, so he doesn't always get banished, but sometimes, or more often than not, you will end up banishing him, and that's unfortunate. But he's also very impactful. But the thing that they all share in common, addition, subtraction, and sigma, is that when their effects are activated, you can no longer, for the rest of the turn, summon anything but Cyberus monsters from the extra deck. Next up, triple Nabla and 2 multiplication. These are your normal summons. They suck. They honestly suck. They're the worst you could ever have. You don't want to normal summon these. This can be searched from your deck very easily, and this is special summoned from your deck extremely easily. So you don't want to open these. But because we run Desires, and because we're going second deck, and we want to be able to see as much combo pieces as possible, be it as much hand traps as possible, we run both of them. Nabla does nothing on summon, and neither does multiplication. They all each have their own effects. None of these effects activate on summon. Nabla tributes a Cyberus monster and special summons a Mathmech from deck. What you want to summon is multiplication. Multiplication targets a Cyberus, which is level 4. They are all Cyberus, by the way, and it makes the level 8. When it does so, you can then synchro with multiplication and Nabla for final sigma. This gives you your synchro of level 12, who has double the attack and can attack 2 monsters, and does all double battle damage. OTK. Galatea in attack position, real good. Nabla alone can play through around Nibiru with any special summon, and multiplication plus a sigma also plays around Nibiru and still is a 2-card combo. When you hear that, it's like, oh, well, why don't I play 3? You don't play 3 because it's still bad to see. You'll understand when you play the deck or when you watch through the combo. Moving on. This is mandatory spice you need to run if you want to be consistent. Triple microcoder. He's a game promo for Switch. That sucks. A lot. Because it's expensive. He's level 1, doesn't really matter. You can technically summon him off 1 for 1. It's not the greatest idea. It's better to run Dotscaper in 1 for 1 because that's a 1-card combo for Mathmechs. But what his benefit is that when he's used as link material with a Cyberus monster, because he can be used from the hand as link material, if you're using a Cyberus monster to make a Code Talker monster, he then has a graveyard effect. He can then search any Signet card. If he was on field, he can, instead of just searching any Signet card, he could also instead search any any Cyberus card level 4. But considering there's pretty much Mathmechs are the only thing you really want, it's not necessary. The benefits to this is the fact of Signet mining to add any cards which, like subtraction or addition, to give more attack to your final boss monster. Also Signet conflict if you're going first to set up a crescendo basically for free, which not only negates the activation of a card and banishes it, but stops your opponent from using any of those same cards with the same name for the rest of the turn. And then Signet optimization in case you didn't open up Balancer Lord, which is a double summon, which is searchable through him. Next up, triple Gizmic. This is mandatory.
It is going to be Bomber.
Okay, so Bomber comes down.
Okay. And then I think this is a passive priority. Oh, no.
Oh, Gizmech.
That's a fantastic card. Now he doesn't even have to waste the final Sigma.
Absolutely. So he can trigger the Bomber, get rid of everything, and that's actually huge. Okay, that changes the equation.
Until the new Gizmic comes out. He protect, he attack, but most importantly, he's level 8. That means you can synchro for 12 very easily. It's very effective. I've also used his effect to burn out a negate as well through Appaloosa when they've summoned it on their turn, and then did the pop, and then had to burn a negate and so forth. So this card baits out negates as well. Is hard to play around or against in general for most decks, and the fact that he does 2450 damage. It gets through those pesky defense monsters, which this deck can't get around. Next up, 4 Kaijus. 3 Gameciel, and then 1 Godarla. I am not a fan of Kaijus necessarily. They're bricky for the most part. And in this ratio, I'm not running Slumber because at Las Vegas as regional, I had ran a Slumber, and they opened all 5 Kaiju cards. They were different names as well, and it really sucked. I did that 3 times in a row, in 2 different rounds. I hated my life. My first hand was good, and then I got Reincarnation, and it sucked a lot. So that's why I ran 4. It was probably better if I ran 5, but it is what it is. In the end, they're really good monsters in general. Getting rid of a negate is important. Getting rid of an IP to get rid of even more plays or even more disruption is really important as well. With Sky Striker Orcust in the game so far, shutting off their back row is also super impactful. So these were just overall, when I saw them, they were amazing. If I saw them at 1, not at 5. Moving on. Triple Pot of Desires. It's a combo deck, you OTK. If you play an OTK deck, you run Triple Pot of Desires because you're running everything at 3 because that's the deck. You want to get your combo, you want to get your pieces. You bait out Ash Blossom, which is also really important. But not only that, seeing your next couple cards makes you play through Ash Blossom. So, it's a mandatory 3 of, it's a staple. It is not a neg 9.
According to a hypergeometric calculation, Pot of Desires is a 3 of when considering that there's a 33% chance to open, offsetting the 11% deficit in consistency when run at 2 copies rather than 3. Therefore, it is mathematically and statistically sound to play Pot of Desires at a 3 of, yes.
Please watch Forever's video. Instant Fusion. You summon 1,000 Eyes, it eats a negate. That's pretty good. You also summon Mud Dragon, who's a level 4, who helps you make your XYZ play if you don't have any special summons in your hand besides this and a normal summon. So it's also pretty decent. This also plays around Nibiru in the fact that you can make 1,000 Eyes, make Link Kuriboh, normal summon Nabla, Nabla tributes Link Kuriboh, you summon Multiplication, that's 4 summons. Your 5th summon is Final Sigma, who's unaffected by card effects. Next up, Triple Signet Mining. It's Rhoda. Did I have to explain more? Cosmic Cyclone. We hate back row for the most part. There's nothing really that impacts you necessarily when you're talking about your OTK regarding back row. But Babel gets a little bit annoying, I'm not going to lie. And then there's sometimes that pesky Widow Anchor or so forth in case you didn't see your Kaiju. It's nice to run, it's good removal. That's pretty much as far as you can get. Multiplication, Mathmech Equation, Foolish Burial, and Cyanide Optimization. It's searchable, double summon. This sends Gizmic. This also sends Final Sigma, or not Final Sigma, sorry, regular Sigma, who can be revived. Also triggers Multiplication's effect or Nabla's effect. Equation, it's Monster Reborn, which is searchable, and gives 1,000 attack to whatever it revives until the end of the turn. Seems pretty good. Also, lets you, if you open this and any Mathmech card, you have full combo. Mathmech Superfactorial. It's pretty busted. You can make Trish on your opponent's turn, basically, or I guess a better term would be Triple Ding, because it doesn't banish, it sends. Triple Ding is pretty good. It also makes your Final Sigma, it also makes your Magma, who's not important, but if you can't get the OTK, it's relevant. He basically is a big beat stick who pops 2 cards when he destroys a monster. And that's about the main purposes of this. If they end up call buying the grave, one of the targets for this card, because it targets up to 3, because it says target up to 3, even if you call by the grave 1 card, we are still allowed to XCs or Synchro, because I've still selected up to 3 targets. They can all be special summoned to then be XYZ'd or Synchroed. If you Synchro, they get shuffled back into the deck. If you XYZ, it's like normal. Now for the extra deck. The extra deck is consistent of basically combo pieces. The problem with this deck as well, something I should mention, is that it has a tight extra deck at the moment. There's not a lot of great Cyber Assassin for the most part. The Topologics are not terrible, I think, in my opinion. They're pretty good. But they could be better. And there's support always coming out for Cybers, which makes it very impactful and effective to help the deck. But anyways, let's get into it. We run Thousand Eyes Restrict and Mud Dragon. Both instant fusion targets, both very impactful, both very effective. Eats a negate, pretty good. Makes your Alan Bersha play also pretty good. Link Disciple, Link 1, Link Devotee, Link 1, and Link Rinpo, Link 1. Disciple is your first part of your combo, and Devotee is the second part of your combo. This is why any two Mathmechs usually make the combo, because Disciple is a mini-star Yuja. If it tributes whatever it's co-linked to, which would be Link Devotee, what will happen with Link Devotee, because he was tributed, will you'll summon 2 tokens. Those 2 tokens end up making the rest of your combo. But we'll show you that in a little bit. Cyber's Wicked, he's Wicked. IP Masquerena. And Code Talker, those are your Link 2s. Code Talker is for your microcoder, which I've already shown you, which gives you your Rhoda ability. IP Masquerena allows you to go into your higher Link monsters because Link Devotee locks you into Link 2s and lower. And then Cyber's Wicked, when anything is special summoned to a Link arrow that he has, you get to banish the Cyber's monster and add a tuner from your deck. This triggers Balancer Lord, which allows you to add Nabla, and then special summon the Nabla on the resolution. Topologic Trispania, Topologic Zeroboros, and Topologic Bomber Dragon. These are what I ran for PPG Las Vegas. I was considering playing this against a Lunalight player. It would have done a little bit more, a little higher impact, but not much of any. In the end, I regret not summoning this. And I relatively regret not summoning this. Basically my problem was that these two preemptively activate your superfactorial. You have to activate that first rather than Gizmic from hand. So that's the problem with them for the most part, but Zeroboros is big boy. Bomber Dragon. The fact that your Trishula based card or Dingirsu based card can't be destroyed by card effects when you detach a card is pretty good. And he also protects all Mathmechs. So if you had other Mathmechs on the field, he protects those too. The fact that you can trigger this twice is very effective, and the fact that they're all Cyberus, so they all can be doubled their attack by multiplication, is also very relevant. Next up, Expensive XYZ, Alan Bershin. I don't know what the fuck that means in math. I've never heard of that in my life. Konami's making up shit. But two monsters basically summons this, any 2 Mathmechs, any 2 level 4s. You can detach those 2 materials, because everything on this effect is, all the XYZ's effects are on summon. You can add any Mathmech card from your deck to your hand. That's Superfactorial, that's Equation, that's Nabla, that's Sigma, that's Addition, there's an infinite amount that you can pretty much do with, meaning your combo is very versatile. If you used your normal summon on Sigma, it means you can search out Nabla and then use this effect, because he has a secondary effect where he tributes any card, not himself, any card on the field, to then special summon a Mathmech from your hand or graveyard. So then you can special summon the Nabla and then revive the Sigma if you tribute this and he's not in the extra monster zone, or if we're talking Master Rule 5, which case we don't give a shit. About the extra monster zone for the most part, except for Final Sigma, you'll end up being able to go through your full combo still. It's fantastic. And he is a mandatory card if you're going first. Going second, he's not so mandatory, but he's very important just for consistency's sake. Laplacian, not a mandatory card necessarily. He is mandatory for going first place, however, because you don't have much going first place without him. He's Trishula-based Dingirsu. He sends a monster, sends a spell, and sends 1 card from the hand that your opponent has, randomly, by detaching up to 3 materials. And you can choose which one of those effects you want to activate. He can detach a material to protect all Mathmech cards from card destruction. Pretty good. Next up, we have Geomathmech Magma. You only summon this card pretty much if you don't have the OTK. Besides that, he's 25, He's a relatively big beat stick. The fact that he can pop 2 cards is relevant, and the fact that he floats into grabbing any spell or trap which is Mathmech related is also very relevant. And finally, Final Sigma. He's the core of your deck. This really sucks when it gets Judgment, because I only run 1. But if he doesn't, he's really fucking good. What's amazing about him is the fact that he's unaffected if he was summoned to the actual monster zone. This is not a trigger effect, this is like Azathoth. If his summon has been successfully resolved, he's unaffected, does not matter. He doubles all battle damage if he was in the extra monster zone, and the fact that he also floats by grabbing any spell or trap is also highly impactful.
And that's the extra deck.
And that's the extra deck. And here's the side deck. We run 2 Pankratops. It's Pankratops. It's Pankratops. Don't ask for more. Fuck off, comment section. Artifact Lancia. We run 3 of those. Fuck Orcusts. We hate those. Double Nibiru. It's a kaiju you can side in going first if you're not sure if your opponent is going to make you go first because you're going second deck. Also, you can blind going first after you're, sorry, not blind. You can go side in for going first, which your opponent will not expect because you're assumed to be a going second deck. System down. Fuck Orcust. Are we done here? Not yet. Cosmic Cyclone. Fuck Mystic Mine. Red Reboot. Fuck There Can Only Be One. I'm pretty sure I can't explain how much this side deck is that fuck the cards that stop us from playing. And Cyanide Conflict. This is the searchable counter trap base crescendo that you can search off a microcoder, which you side in if you're going first. I like to blind, or I like to make my opponent miss side by siding to go first and having them assume that I'm going second because I'm playing a going second deck, which runs Kaijus. It's pretty effective. And that's it for the side deck. Into the combos next. Alright, this is our buddy Balancer Lord and his friend Sigma. Normal summon Balancer Lord. Activate effect to gain an additional summon. We can use it on this, however we don't want to use the additional summon on Sigma because if you're going into the Link combo, which I'm about to show you, it doesn't have many chances to revive itself for free. So we'll activate his effect to special summon himself instead. Link 1, Link Disciple, Link 1, Link Devotee. Technically, Balancer Lord is banished because he was summoned off of his own effect. Not relevant for the most part, but important, and just in case you misplay. Disciple tributes Devotee. This is a mini Kaijus, so you draw a card, and then you put one back onto the bottom of your deck. Whether or not that card ends up being good, or one of those cards in your hand, which might have been a break, unbreak you now, it's completely up to you and it's debatable. This is why I run Mathmech multiplication at 2, because you can always put one back into the deck, and Desires would then only banish the top 10 instead of banishing that one copy that you necessarily need for your combo. This creates 2 tokens in the chain after resolution because Link Devotee was tributed when co-linked. You then use a token and Disciple for Wicked, and then you use the remaining token, who is a level 1 Cyrus tuner, or not tuner, Cyrus, for Link Rebo. Wicked's effect triggers, banishing Balancer Lord as cost. When Balancer Lord is banished as cost, this effect finally resolves, but this happens in a separate chain to special summon. So you'll add Mathmech Nabla, who is a tuner and level 4, which is great. Balancer Lord will special summon Nabla to the field. Nabla can then tribute Link Rebo if it wishes, or it can tribute Wicked. We're going to tribute Wicked in this case, so Wicked gets tributed to then special summon from the deck, multiplication. Then multiplication can target itself or Nabla, making them either one of them level 8 for you to synchro. From there, you can then synchro for Final Sigma into either extra monster zone. If you're playing around Mathmechs, I'm sorry, not Mathmechs. If you're playing around Mech Knights, summon it so they're not in the same column. Multiplication will give him double the attack, so he'll be at 6k, and Nabla will give him 2 attacks against monsters. That's your OTK. This is the second combo. This is why Microcoder is a mandatory 3 of in your deck, if you want consistency. This is what you've opened. You've opened a Sigma, an Addition, and a Microcoder. You haven't opened up Balancer Lord, so you can't do the Link combo I've just shown you prior, Technically you can because you have 2 inherent special summons, meaning that Nabla could be your normal summon. In the case, let's say that you don't end up having a second special summon, and instead you have a multiplication. Technically you have an OTK combo here, but for the sake of it, let's say you get an impermanence on the effect to make his attack, his level twice his level. Well, he's still level 4, which is good for you, which means you get to still do your combo. Sigma can still special summon himself. Great. Continue with your link play. You make Link Disciple, Link Devotee, with Sigma getting banished because he was special summoned. Disciple tributes Devotee, which creates 2 tokens. Token and Disciple go away for Wicked. And because this is a Cyberist, and even though it's a token, it is still a Cyberist, and you can attempt to summon a Code Talker, you can use Microcoder and the token to make a Code Talker. Code Talker is summoned to an arrow. Chainlink 1 is Cyber's Wicked, and Chainlink 2 is Microcoder. Because Wicked banishes for cost, you can banish the Microcoder, meaning that it can't be called by the grave. Microcoder can search any Cynet card. As this is Chainlink 1 and Chainlink 2, or Chainlink 2, Chainlink 1, however you wish to organize it, not necessarily always important. Microcoder resolves first. For this instance, let's say. So we can grab Cynet Optimization. Optimization is your double summon. Pretty good. Now, Wicked's effect fully resolves, grabbing Nabla. From there, double summon, Nabla tributes this, depending on how you're playing it, or if you're going first, it will tribute this and you'll make IP. If not, you'll tribute the Wicked, summon the multiplication from your deck, which you run 2 of, and then make himself level 8, synchro for 12 for game. Let's say now in this scenario, you've opened up a Balancer Lord in addition and of subtraction. These are really good cards. You're going first, however, which means you can't do your OTK like normal. What you'll end up having to do is normal summon Balancer Lord, using his effect to gain an additional summon. In this case, let's just say that you get the additional summon, but you're not using its effect for the additional summon at this moment, just to make it easy on ourselves. We can then use addition to special summon itself. We can then go full link combo as we've seen, and I've shown many times already, with the Link Disciple, Link Devotee, Wicked, and then Link Karibo. Cool. So we've done that whole combo, and then Wicked banishes Balancer Lord as cost. We still have subtraction in hand, let us remember that. For us to then grab Mathmech Nabla. Nabla can then get special summon to the field, tributes Link Karibo, and then special summons from the deck. Let's say it special summons a Sigma. That way, when Sigma hits the graveyard, you'll still have a recursion play for next turn. We can then XYZ these two together to make Alan Bersha, and then Alan Bershan can then detach to search any Mathmech card. This is where you'll search Superfactorial on turn 1, so you can do a Trish play on your opponent for maximum disruption. From there, you have Subtraction in your hand. You can activate Subtraction to special summon itself to any zone, does not matter. Targeting Wicked, targeting Alan Bershan there. The minus attack and minus defense only lasts till the end of turn. From there, what you can then do is make IP Masquerena. Right there. And then set Superfactorial and pass turn. With this, on your opponent's turn, you can use IP to summon Bomber if you wish. So that way you can still maintain quite a lot of large resources. Use Superfactorial's effect, targeting 3 Mathmechs with different names. There's a Nabla, there's a Sigma, and there's a Subtraction. Alternatively, if you opened up Sigma, you can instead summon Multiplication from your deck. This will mean when you XYZs for your Trishula-based card, Laplacian, who will protect himself from destruction, you can then double the attack of Bomber Dragon, just in case there's some possible way that they can summon a monster who's slightly above 3,000. But you'll get the disruption of being able to send, and the disruption of being able to pop the whole field. Rather impactful. And that's pretty much the going first combo. And that's it for the deck profile. I'd like to thank NetherRealm Gaming for allowing us to take this deck profile in the back room. I'd like to thank Brent, my cameraman, who runs his channel Maxed Out Weird. I'd like to thank CJ, who bought 3 of the Nintendo Switch game so he could get microcoders and Cynet codecs. I don't know where this man has the money to do so, but he does, and also lending me Cynet minings. And lastly, I'd like to thank everyone for being able to, who was at the event, being great players and everything as well. And I'd like to thank MBT for allowing me to do the guest upload. I had a great time, and I was very grateful to get the feature match. I'm excited to possibly have the chance at getting to the next feature match, if I can. Thank you so much, and this is Rogue Theory, signing out.
Like, no exaggeration, this probably represents the most playable Mathmech build I have ever seen. He has been deep in the tank on combo theory and has come out with a very, very fantastic build for just beating people's faces.